Bears are enjoying their success and aren't afraid to talk about it. Their pass rush is the fiercest in the league, and quarterbacks around the NFL have been taking their lumps or having their passes stolen by the Bears' fleet defenders. Offensively, the Bears are just as aggressive. Cocky quarterback Jim McMahon has dared defenses to stop the aerial game, knowing he has Walter Payterre, who 2 weeks ago helped the Bears humiliate their old foes, the Green Bay Packers. And today, in the rematch, Perry will get his first start on defense, providing more headaches for the beleaguered Packer quarterbacks. After 2 difficult games in a row, veteran Lynn Dickey will watch from the sidelines, contemplating retirement. Number 2 passer Randy Wright has had his problems too. There'll be a change.
We will start Jim Zorn at quarterback this week.
So it's Zorn's turn in the barrel as the angry Packers try to exact revenge on the haughty Bears, who seem to have only one thought in mind these days: winning the next one on the route to the Super Bowl.
Bears against the Green Bay Packers.
Live from Lambeau Field, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL continues, the Bears and the Packers. And the skies are as dark as the moon here in Green Bay. Temperature 44 degrees for the kickoff. Hello, everybody. I'm Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at Lambeau Field. And Johnny, more than 10 years of covering the NFL, I have never seen or heard a team as angry at their opponents as the Green Bay Packers are facing the Bears today.
Yes, the Packers are really mad. Of course, it stems from a couple of weeks ago when they felt the Bears really rubbed it in with William Perry, and especially at the end of the game when the Bears were passing with just a few seconds left in the game. I was in the locker room yesterday. There's quotes all over the board because the Bears have been making derogatory remarks about the Green Bay Packers. It's been tradition. You don't do that, but the Bears and Mike Ditka don't seem to be worried about it. In fact, Mike Ditka says if they don't like what we did, if they don't like what they say, they can do something about it on Sunday. Well, today is Sunday. Let's see if the Packers can do something about it. The Packers and Bears in a real barn burner, I think.
Well, the crowd here at Lambeau Field has showed their feelings early. It is a sellout. The tickets have been scalped here for even end zone seats. You cannot get a seat to this football game. You could not. It was just like a playoff game as far as Packer fans were concerned, and they booed the Bears on and off the field during the warm-ups. They'll be supporting their Packers here today. The Bears receive Del Greco's short kickoff is taken by Dennis Gentry at the 15-yard line. Gentry to the center of the field and is dropped at the 27, maybe the 28-yard line of the Chicago Bears. A 13-yard return. And Ron Burgess, just activated this week, made the tackle. The Bears bring out Jim McMahon at quarterback, Walter Payton and Matt Suhey, the running backs, Dennis McKinnon with a gimpy knee, and Willie Galt are the wide receivers. Covert, Bortz, Hilgenberg, Tom Thayer for the injured Kurt Becker, Keith Van Horn, and Emery Moorhead across the front. And the ball spotted at the 29-yard line on the kickoff return. The leading passer in the NFL, Jim McMahon, leads out the Bears. Slot formation to the left. Long count by McMahon. McKinnon in motion. Play action. In the flat for Suhey, who was wide open, and the pass incomplete. It'll be second down. Defensively, the Packers loaded for bear literally today. Robert Brown at left end, Charlie Martin on the nose, Ezra Johnson the right end. The linebackers, Anderson, Randy Scott, Brian Noble the rookie, and Mike Douglas, center of controversy last week after the game. Leon Lewis on the corners, and the keys here, 2 rookies at the safeties, Mossy Cade and Ken Stills for the injured Mark Murphy and Tom Flynn. And that will be a key in this game, we expect. Second and 10. McKinnon in motion again. Draw play. Payton. Ball comes loose. Packers say they've recovered, and they have. Inside the 30 of Chicago. And already a little roughhousing between Covert and Charlie Martin. Ezra Johnson of the Packers came up with the ball.
The Bears came up with the draw play off the pass action right off the ball game, and Payton goes through, and you can see it. He takes the jolt, the hut, and it's Ezra Johnson who makes the recovery for Green Bay Packers. Shades of a game a couple of weeks ago when the Bears fumbled quite a bit early in the game. The Packers were not able to take advantage of it, as Ezra Johnson, one of the men who is really after the Green Bay Packers, was in on that action.
After the Bears, indeed. And Brian Noble forced the fumble. The Packers lead the league in forcing fumbles. 28 times they've done it. Recovered 17. And they have good field position here in the opening minutes of the game. Eddie Lee Ivory driving hard for 5 yards over the 25-yard line of the Bears. Otis Wilson made the tackle, number 55. Jim Zorn, the quarterback, the former Seattle Seahawk with his first start. Clark and Ivory, the running backs. Lofton and Epps, 2 speedsters at wide receiver. Across the front, Carl Swanke, rookie Rich Moran for the injured Euchre, Cannon, Hallstrom, Cook, and tight end Paul Kaufman. And now they bring out Ed West to join Kaufman here on 2nd down and 6. Misdirection to Clark. Clark, a hard-running fullback, plows for about 2. It'll leave 3rd and 5. Stopped out the right side by Hampton and Dave Duerson. Defensively on the Bears 4-man front, the change, William Perry, the starter at right tackle. Dan Hampton moves out to the left end, replacing Hartenstein. McMichael and Dent continuing their spots. The linebackers, Wilson, Singletary, and Wilbur Marshall having a fine year. Ken Taylor starting for the injured Mike Richardson with Frazier on the corners. Duerson and Fensick the safeties. 3rd down and a long 3, Green Bay.
The Bears are in their 46.
Clark tackled by Singletary, and initial contact underneath the stack there from Steve McMichael, number 76. And the Packers stopped short of the first down by about 2 yards. So the ball spotted at the 22, and Al Del Greco comes on the field. Steve McMichael, the 6-year man from Texas, and like his coach Mike Ditka, says we take no prisoners. 40-yard attempt for Del Greco. They're going to spot it just at the 30-yard line. There is a breeze blowing. It looks to be more crossfield, but slightly behind Del Greco. Zorn will hold. And he's got it. Al Del Greco, his 8th field goal of the season, puts the Packers on top 3-0, converting the turnover on the fumble by Payton. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris at Lambeau Field. The Green Bay Packers have stung the Bears, converting the turnover by Payton into a 3-point field goal by Al Del Greco. Well, the question of whether the emotions might run too high for the Packers may be moot, since they come up with a turnover and get on the scoreboard. If they needed settling down at all, that probably ought to do it, Johnny.
It certainly would. And Forrest Gregg says he really put his team on the spot. He says, we are up for this game. If we don't win it, we're not a good football team at all.
Del Greco's kicked off deeper this time. Back to the goal line. Willie Gault. He's got room. Nice diving tackle by Harlan Huckleby, with Gault going down at the 40-yard line. A 39-yard return for the Bears will have them good field goal position, and Huckleby might have saved a touchdown.
He certainly did, because Gault, as you know, went straight up and then turned to the left side and was just getting in gear, and Huckleby 25 will come from the right of your screen as Gault was just turning it on and makes a big tackle there to prevent a possible touchdown. So the Bears have good field position.
Willie Gault comes out wide left. Wing formation right. Now a little shifting by the Bears. Moorhead moves over to make the strong side right. Suey and Payton, the running backs. Passing on 1st down. Lots of time for McMahon. The screen set up. Suey with blockers. Good play by the Packers. A flag down. And John Anderson on the tackle got behind the blockers on the screen and dropped Suey. A gain of only a half yard. Flag on the play.
We have to give some credit to Charles Martin. He got over there from his nose tackle position and busted up the blocking.
And the Bears are penalized on the play. A holding signal from our referee today, Bob McElwee. We'll get the official call from him momentarily. Packers decide.
Illegal block above the waist. Number 63, Huffin.
Well, it's an illegal block, not a hold, by Jay Hilgenberg, the center, number 63.
And I think it was a block on Martin. You're going to see a 94 going over to break up the screen. There he is to the left of your screen, and 63, Hilgenberg, kind of pushes him from the back. It was really a close call. It wasn't much contact, but then you can see the tackle there by Noble.
Packers take the 10 yards and will leave the Bears with a 1st and 20 from their own 30-yard line. Green Bay leads 3-0. 12:05 and counting in the first quarter at Lambeau Field. Temperature is going down into the low 40s now as the skies get a little darker. The lights are on. McKinnon in motion. They give it to Payton. Payton has blockers out the left side. Cuts inside the cornerback Lewis, but the filling job by the Packers is good. They hold him to about a 5-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 15 with Mossy Cade, the starter at strong safety today, making the tackle.
It's ironic. The only Chicago Bear that the Packers aren't mad at is Walter Payton. They said he never says anything and goes about and does his job, and we don't have anything against him. He says it's the rest of the team.
Yeah, but Ezra Johnson said he wasn't excluding Walter Payton from the contact that they expected to occur out here today. He said, well, yeah, Walter's a good guy, but he's a Bear. 2nd and 15. Again, the shift, Moorhead to the strong side right. Cade is blitzing. Payton cut inside him. Payton with running room out the right side, and now forced out by Lee. Picked up about 5, and Lee drove Payton all the way over to the Bears bench. And there's a pile up there with flags flying. Mark Lee, number 22, taking Payton all the way to the Bears bench. That is tough territory to be intruding on at this point, with tempers already frayed before this game even began.
Plus, to offend Walter Payton is a mistake, as we were talking about, because the Bears love to protect him. He's the guy that's the heart of the team, and that's something that can rile up the Chicago Bear offense, or in fact the entire team. So not a wise move by the Green Bay Packers.
The referee is number 95, Bob McElway, and you see him discussing the play with his staff. I bet those officials got their game faces on today, knowing they were assigned to this game.
Personal foul, number 22, defense, 15 yards, first down.
Well, Johnny, that brings us back to what I asked you just moments ago. Does this emotional high that the Packers are on for this game, does it have the possibility of penalizing them when they pick up penalties on the field?
That's a very good point, and I was talking to Steve McMichael. Let's listen.
Personal foul, 22 defense, player is disqualified.
Oh.
Wow.
Now
Wow.
the Packers are hurting a defensive back anyway. They have 2 new safeties, and Mark Lee is one of their starting cornerbacks. Packers really be hurting because they had to activate Burgess, and they're really down to the bone when it comes to defensive backs.
They had already lost Mark Murphy and Mike McLeod to injuries from this game, and Tom Flynn. McLeod and Murphy unable to go today, with Murphy going onto the injured list, and with McLeod going on injured reserve. Tom Flynn with a sore ankle unable to start today, and with Lee out, Forrest Gregg will now be down to Gary Hayes, a second-year man from Fresno State, on the corner, with just Ronnie Burgess, who was just activated this week as a reserve.
Well, the Packer fans don't like it, and you have to wonder. It's early in the game, and I mean, it's an important game, and it might be kind of a stiff penalty for a late hit, an awful stiff penalty to penalize him for the rest of the game. Let's take a look at it. The Packers blitzed here. Mossy Cade ran right out of the play as Payton got some running room. Now 22 is Mark Lee, and he comes up here on the outside. Payton heading for the sidelines.
He made a good play to that point, and then he made it a little too good.
Well, I think Walter Payton gave him a little stiff arm, too, at the same time. They got ticked off. But I don't know about disqualification.
Me neither. First down at the 45. To the air, McMahon, and Willie Gault cannot hold on. Gary Hayes had the coverage on him, so they went right at Hayes. And Hayes gave Gault a little shove as they got up. This is going to be an acrimonious game. In fact, before the first game this season between these two teams, the Packer press release described the rivalry as one of the longest and most acrimonious in pro football. And we've seen evidence of it early here.
One of the quotes out of Chicago was from Jim McMahon, who confirmed it for us. He says that the Packers are a bunch of crybabies, and for a quarterback to say that, you got to be a little bit cocky, right? Because somebody's going to get a shot at you sooner or later.
Nervy is definitely what McMahon is. 2nd and 10 from the Packer 45. The Pack leads 3-0. And McMahon ran right into the defender, John Anderson, the linebacker, who was sure pleased to have a clean shot at Jim McMahon. Intended pass with a coverage downfield. McMahon started to run with it.
And then he stopped running. As soon as he saw Anderson, boy, he headed for the turf. So he's a smart quarterback. At the same time, on the rollout with Michael Douglas, the blitzing, you can see it was an all-out blitz, and he just got under the hit by John Anderson. The Packers are really hurting defensively, physically. They have now 3 starters out in the defensive backfield. Now that's hurting.
And we just saw Brian Noble, the linebacker, come limping off. The rookie from Arizona State. There's Mark Lee on the sidelines. He will play no more today. 3rd and 15. In motion comes Galt out of the backfield in the shotgun formation. McMahon runs out of time, and he is sacked. And it is Charlie Martin with an extra shot. The ball comes loose. Play is dead as it's taken to the end zone. But after Martin had made the sack, there was additional pushing and shoving. And now one must hope that this does not degenerate into a non-football game. The Packers, inspired with their emotion toward the Bears, have stopped them here, and the coaching staff is talking to Charlie Martin on the Packers sideline, trying to calm him down.
Well, they had their shot at Jim McMahon, as Mike Dick is the calmest player. He's not a player anymore. He's the calmest person on the sidelines, but he won't stay that way. He has got confidence in his team, and he says that he doesn't like the Packers. The Packers don't like him. He says he remembers the 60s, and he said everybody used to offend the Bears. He said, I'm tired of being offended. He said the Bears are going to offend other people. If they don't like it, they can lump it. And that's basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said, and I'm not exaggerating.
Maury Buford will be the Bears punter as the loss dropped them back to the 44-yard line. Philip Epps, the deep man for the Packers. They've got a problem on punt returns and have used 3 different players there in the first half of the season. Buford hits from the 35. Short punt. It's bobbled by the Packers. Still loose. And it looks like Green Bay has retained possession. It was Gary Hayes who tried to field the ball on the short punt from Buford, and he was able to get a hold of it. So pretty good field position again for Green Bay at their own 33 when we return. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. Let's go back and look at that last sack with Charlie Martin getting to McMahon.
Martin got to the outside of Mark Bort's 62 and gets in the sack as Edward Johnson is wheeled out of the play. Now here comes the sack by Martin, and he gets down on McMahon. Now, is he celebrating or is he pounding on McMahon? What is he doing there? That's what ticked off Keith Van Horn, who came in and piled on.
So the Packers, with a 3-0 lead, have the ball at their own 33-yard line. They are a fired-up football team. That is obvious. Straight ahead is Eddie Lee Ivory. A flag on the play. Ivory got about 2. Out the right side, where Hampton and Perry combined to put the stop on him. William Anthony Perry, 308-pound rookie, starting at defensive right tackle today. Offside is signaled against Green Bay. Or illegal motion, pardon me, is the signal against the Packers.
You know, the Bears have won 13 of their last 14 regular season games. The last game they lost was to the Green Bay Packers, 20-14 last year.
Illegal formation. 6 men on the line offense. 5 yards, still first down.
Well, it was a procedure call with the wrong number of people on the line, and Forrest Gregg not happy about that one.
He says, can't they count to 7? You got to have 7 up there on that line of scrimmage. I think a key for Green Bay is going to be to control this ball, because the Bears eventually are going to be going after those new defensive backs, and the Packers are going to have to try and eat up this clock and prevent the Bears from having the ball. The Bears normally average 6 yards on first down, and that's devastating. So Green Bay's got to control with Jim Zorn.
Jim Zorn, the former Seattle quarterback, with his first start, they come out of the I formation on 1st and 15. Play action. The left-hander looking to throw. Has time up the middle for Epps. Incomplete. And behind Epps. Tried to reach back for it, but the pass off target. Talking with Jim Zorn about his preparation this week, he feels that he's got a good grasp of the offense, but he was concerned, Johnny, about the terminologies. They have to call all of the individual plays involved in a given play for each player, and he was concerned about maybe calling a Seattle term in there somewhere, perhaps mixing up his teammates.
Paul Kaufman said, I'll keep him straight. If he calls me to do something wrong, I'll do it right anyway.
Sean Gale has come in defensively for the Chicago Bears on 2nd and 15. Zorn, sideliner in the dirt, intended for Lofton, just never got the ball there. Gary Fensick had come over on the coverage, and the Bears intending to double cover the dangerous James Lofton today. and at the same time help out their rookie cornerback Ken Taylor, who's playing for the injured Mike Richardson. Well, elsewhere in the NFL today, the Buccaneers and the Giants are tied at 3-all in the first period. A key game in the NFC East for the Giants. Miami in front of New England, the struggling Dolphins leading. And Washington and Atlanta tied at 3 in the first period. Out of the shotgun on 3rd down. Zorn gets time, gets the ball off for Preston Denard, and Denard does make the catch. The flag came down, but the catch will be good. Preston Denard with Fensick and Gale on the coverage.
He just out-muscled Sean Gale, as we have some fisticuffs going down at the other end of the field also, as the Bears put on the blitz that time. And actually, Sean Gale had the interception, but give Denard credit. 88, he went up and became a defender almost there and just muscled the ball away. And whenever in doubt, they give it to the offensive man, as Ron Hallstrom was upset in the Green Bay Packer offensive line. I think he feels that there was some shenanigans against Jim Zorn, so we'll have to see what's going on. You got to keep your eyes open. There's things happening all over this football field.
Number 21 defense, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 65 offense. Penalties offset.
Well, they'll replay the down. A tough break for the Packers there, as they had a first down with a 17-yard gain to their own 45, where Frazier was flagged for the Bears, but Hallstrom's penalty will negate it.
You know, more importantly, Jim Zorn has not thrown the ball well so far. I know it's early, but that time he threw into double coverage. They were lucky to get the reception out of it. So a key is going to be how he picks up the Bear defense. You know, it's a defense he hasn't played against for a long time, being at Seattle when he was on the bench, and he hasn't seen that 46 and all that weird stuff the Bears do. So he's really on the spot.
Jim Zorn will have 3rd and 15. Ball at the Packer 26-yard line. Reggie Phillips in the backfield for the Bears now. Zorn out of the shotgun, has time, a good coverage downfield, and he'll take off. And he slides into the area where Otis Wilson is waiting. And yet another flag down on the play.
Yes, there was some contact between Reggie Phillips and the receiver. Whether they'll call it against the defense.
And they do.
I think it might be against 48. Reggie Phillips. I don't want to indict him before we get the official call.
Phillips, the rookie from
Holding,
SMU.
number 48, defense, 5 yards, automatic first down.
Well, there's a big play defensively. The mistake by the Bears. The Packers get back what they lost on the penalty to Hallstrom after their first down pass to Preston Denard. So they'll have the first down, but they will be at their 32-yard line.
I would imagine that the Packers will be going after Ken Taylor, the Bears cornerback, playing for Richardson. So far, they haven't really gone after him that much, as the refrigerator comes in. Once again, number 72, William Perry. And you are seeing that Hampton is in the middle, and it looks like a 46 defense. The 2 linebackers on one side over here.
Fensick intended for Epps. Fensick running with it, but he was down. And the Bears come up with their turnover, as Zorn, throwing down the center of the field, found Fensick there. And that is his 4th interception of the season.
Not only Fensick, but a whole bunch of Chicago Bears. There was one receiver, as Dan Hampton was putting pressure on, and 3 defenders. There was no chance for the reception here. 3-on-1. And Gary Fensick comes up with, I believe, his 34th career interception, only 3 shy of the Chicago Bear record. There's Jim Zorn saying, what am I doing? The Packers only sent 1 receiver down, still had trouble protecting the quarterback.
So Chicago trailing 3-0. They'll have the ball at their own 39-yard line. Moorhead sets up on the right side, the tight end, and now Suey shifting. He's out to Payton. Payton cuts it back inside, picks up about 3 yards, and a crushing block after Payton was down by number 29, Ken Stills, the rookie from Wisconsin, putting a lick on Suey, and that brought flags everywhere. Ken Stills was a late cut in the training camp this year after being their 8th pick.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 29 defense, 15 yards, automatic first down.
Well, I think the Packers are losing some composure now. It's happened too many times in this football game. Stills getting a chance to play and overdoing it. 29 on 26. There was Suey, was just standing there watching the play, and Stills came in and just gave him a clobber. Just gave him a clobber. Completely uncalled for. Thank you, says Matsui. I'll see you later in the game.
And meanwhile, for the Bears, a first down. And the ball will move now to the Packer 44-yard line. Ken Stills signed this week with these injuries to the secondary of the Packers. We've mentioned a couple of times Murphy, McLeod, Darrell Jones all hurt. And, of course, Mark Lee out of the game early here on a disqualification. Stills, the starter today for Flynn. He's in uniform, but has a bad ankle. Short drop by McMahon. Intended out there for Whiteman, the tight end, and it is incomplete. Mossy Cade put a hit on him as the pass was high, tried to pull it down. Cade, timing it perfectly, put the bump on him and prevented the completion.
And that was a good hard hit by Mossy Cade. That time you can do it the way, and that's the way you're supposed to do it. With the receiver coming in, the tight end going out, the ball was there, you put the hit on him, and he takes his punishment. Good, hard, legal football.
Mossy Cade was really looking forward to this. You know, he's never played strong safety or free safety through high school or college at University of Texas. Had a couple of practices this week starting on Wednesday. But yesterday he told us, hey, I'm excited about this. I'm looking forward to the contact. I like contact. I expect to be dealing with tight ends and fullbacks, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll be dealing with Walter Payton, who picks up about 3, tripped up by Charlie Martin. He'll leave a 3rd and 7. Forrest Gregg saying that Cade was the logical choice from what he had left to take over that safety spot. He's 6'1", 195-pounder, and he's got good speed.
Okay, now take a look at Charlie Martin. He's 74. He's the nose guard. Now watch him get over there, and he's the key to stopping this play. He's a mobile nose man. He plays off the block, gets by Hilgenberg, 94 right there, and gets on the tackle and ends up hitting Walter Payton. Good play.
4 wide receivers on 3rd down for the Bears. Marjoram and Anderson join McKinnon and Galt. And a little flip inside to Willie Galt. Galt trying to get to the first down. He will be close. Willie Galt tackled by Anderson, number 59. And a flag again on the play. And it is against the Bears. Apparently an illegal motion penalty.
We better start checking our record books. We may have a penalty record by the time this football game is over, as Mike Ditka trying to figure out what went wrong.
So far, all of the first downs have come on penalties.
He's saying, take that penalty, take that penalty. I wouldn't think that...
well, they're going to measure to see if he had the
looks like he's made it.
First down yardage, and it does look from our vantage point as though they have the yardage. So then the Packers will decide.
You might have to... I'm not sure the Bears would they'd go for a field goal, or... It is a first down. Now it's going to be an interesting
Ineligible
call.
downfield. Number 74 offense. Penalty will be accepted as first down was made on the play.
So apparently Jim Covert was called as an ineligible receiver downfield on the play.
You know, I think I would have taken that penalty anyway, even if it wasn't a first down, because at 4th on about the 33-yard line with a half a yard to go, you probably would want to not want to give the Bears that opportunity. But it's a moot point now. It's going to be a 3rd down situation once again.
That might have been a Perry play for the Bears.
That's right. William Perry may have come in, and you know what happened with George Cumby.
George is tired of hearing about that, too.
William Perry has got to be the heaviest man to ever score a touchdown in the NFL.
Yeah, I guess so. Everybody's gone back to Bingaman and Motley and Pete Johnson and all of the big guys anybody can ever remember were carrying the ball at any time, any way. But I think you're right. In the poundage category, he's got to be the record holder for scoring the touchdown. All right, it is 3rd down for the Bears back at the 49-yard line of Chicago. It is 3rd and 17. 5 defensive backs. Ronnie Burgess, number 39 in the secondary of the Packers. And early movement by Green Bay. They hand it off to Walter Payton, and he's got some running room up the sideline. Close to the first down marker, is knocked out of bounds by Gary Hayes, number 27. But again, a flag. We've had a flag on nearly every play. 16-yard run by Payton. Alfonso Carricker, number 76, playing with the broken left hand and a cast, was the man over a little early, and that is the preliminary signal offside.
Offside, number 76, defense. Penalty is declined, 4th down.
Now, Jim McMahon has a knack of getting teams off sides. He changes his cadence and emphasizes the wrong hut sometimes, and the defenses, the Packers, were working on that this week to not be fooled by the inflection of his voice. But
all right, William Perry is coming in now because they've got that 4th and short that we were just talking about. Albert Payton has rolled up 33 yards already, by the way, on 6 carries, approaching the 14,000-yard mark in his career. But William Perry, as the Packer fans say, they're going to unplug the refrigerator today.
The Packers are confused on defense, have had to call a timeout, deciding on how they're going to handle this.
Now, right now, they've got Shoemate and Humphrey and Prather out there, but in watching them practice as they take a timeout, we did not see them doing anything special with a big man. It looked like Cumbie was going to be in the same position as the linebacker, and his plan was simply to get low on Perry. Let's see what they do. We'll be back at Lambeau Field with 6:12 remaining first quarter. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris back at Lambeau Field, and this is like watching 2 hockey coaches set up for a face-off. They've changed their personnel entirely. Suey's back in, and Perry's gone out.
And so what did the Bears profit? They had the Packers call a timeout, so they got some profit out of it.
Now let's see what they do. It is 4th and 1 inside the 35 of Green Bay. Play action. The pass to Galt, almost intercepted. Perfect defensive play by Mossy Cade.
Packer fans and the Packers will take it. However, Mossy Cade almost had himself an interception. He puts the jam on. He didn't quite see the ball in time there. He put his hand out. He could have gone right down the sidelines, but it was a great play by Mossy Cade, who is doing pretty well. Just think, he has not played at strong safety in the history of his career.
So the Packers elude 3-0 takeover at their own 35-yard line. Jesse Clark the lone setback. Jim Zorn the quarterback. West is set up on the wing right. They give it to Clark. Clark breaks through traffic, but a diving tackle by Mike Singletary. Just as he saw some daylight, Singletary slashed across to pull him down by the ankles. The gain will be about a yard or 2.
Mike Singletary, number 50, taking the signals in from the sidelines. The man who makes the Bear defense go.
Boy, intensity has become such an overworked word in the lexicon of sports that it is personified in its real sense by Mike Singletary. 2nd and 9. Zorn on a straight drop, under pressure from McMichael. The pass to the tight end, Kaufman, incomplete. And Kaufman complaining about the tight coverage by Wilbur Marshall, by Singletary, pardon me.
Well, that time the Packers had the situation they wanted. They had Kaufman man for man on number 50, the middle linebacker Mike Singletary, and he was behind him. But with the lax rules now for the defenders, as long as he turns his head back, he's supposed to be able to dive into the player.
Not sure he did there.
I'm not sure he did that.
He had an arm on Kaufman and was looking upfield, so the Packers may have a gripe.
I think Kaufman has a legitimate beef on that play.
Sean Gale is in the lineup. Blake Moore has come in at center for the shotgun snapping, as has been the case for several weeks for the Pack. Zorn gets time, and the pass might have been deflective. Otherwise, it was just a bad throw intended for Philip Epps. And Zorn looking unhappy as Epps was open out there in the left flat, and Zorn couldn't get him the ball.
I think what you're seeing is the effect of a quarterback who just has not played very much. And the Bears only had a 4-man rush, but take a look at the shot that he took.
It looked like the linebacker Wilson.
Otis Wilson. It was a 4-man rush, 3 linebackers and 3 linemen and 1 linebacker.
It is 4th down, with the punter Joe Prokop making his first appearance at the Packer 20-yard line. Ken Taylor, the rookie, now playing the cornerback position for the injured Mike Richardson, waiting for the punt at the Bear 22-yard line. Short punt taken on the fly by Taylor. Taylor up the sideline, gets over to the 42-yard line of Chicago. John Dorsey, reserve linebacker number 99 on the tackle. A 34-yard punt, which has been a problem here in Green Bay, and a 12-yard return. We'll be right back. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris at Lambeau Field. Still 5:07 to play first quarter. We've had 8 penalties slowing the game down. Neither quarterback has been able to get much going. In fact, we have not yet had a completed pass. Bears first down from their own 40-yard line following Ken Taylor's punt return. Walter Payton, he gets a good hole on left tackle and picks up about 7. Driven out by Gary Hayes, Ken Stills, number 29 for the Green Bay Packers. Right now, let's go to our studio in New York with Musburger for an update.
Well, Tim, the story with the Washington Redskins is this. John Riggins not playing because of the back injury. Watch his backup. Nice to have a dynamic duo. George Rogers bolts inside the 10. Redskins score, and they lead at 10-3 over Atlanta. Let's go back to Tim and Johnny.
All right, Brent. Key game for Washington, that exciting NFC East. That rush by Walter Payton put him over the 14,000 mark for his career. 14,001. 40 yards on the day. Payton again, dropped for a loss. Big defensive play by Randy Scott. A flag down that appeared to come after the play. Scott just blew through there and met Payton in the backfield.
So Walter Payton is back under 14,000 yards. He's got 13,999 yards.
And a discussion with the Packers, so the penalty apparently against the Bears.
Well, that was a heck of a play by
Holding,
Scott.
number 26, offense.
Matt Suhey charged with the holding. And the defensive unit of the Green Bay Packers has stymied the Bears thus far.
Payton says he'll soon have to have his 15,000-mile checkup. Can you imagine that, 14,000 yards?
I wonder how many pairs of shoes that adds up to.
Well, he's got about 30 in his locker. 30 pairs of shoes just for this season.
It is second down and 13. Moorhead lines up on the left side. Straight drop. McMahon, lots of time. No rush at all. Out in the flat to Suhey. Suhey has the first down. Chicago to the 47-yard line of Green Bay. A 16-yard gain. Pretty good coverage downfield. It appeared that one Bear, McKinnon, was open deep, but McMahon went to the release man.
And there was good coverage for the quarterback. Take a look at the Packer rush. Only a 3-man rush, and nobody got near McMahon. He had all day to throw the ball. Suhey just kind of dipped out in the flat. He was a safety valve receiver and takes the pass. And since there was no pass rush, you know you had more people down covering. So this is we'll see if the Packers are going to do this all day with not too many blitzes and giving you the short pass.
With 4 minutes left in the quarter, that is the first pass completion today. First down, Chicago in Packer territory. They trail 3-0. Blitz. Again time. Deep for McKinnon, and it is incomplete. Gary Hayes had the coverage on McKinnon. The pass overthrown, and Hayes was step for step with McKinnon. In fact, he was about 2 yards deeper than Dennis McKinnon. So Gary Hayes, who had to come in for Mark Lee, who was thrown out of the game on the first offensive series by the Bears for driving Walter Payton into the bench. Gary Hayes does the job on coverage.
Let's get some scores from around the league. 0-0 Kansas City, Houston.
Score.
Yeah, that's a close one, though. And Buffalo 7-0 over Cincinnati second quarter. Pittsburgh losing to Cleveland 3-0 second quarter. So it looks like some low-scoring games so far.
Well, we've got one going here. 2nd and 10. Slot formation left. The give to Payton. Payton off tackle, finds running room, has a first down, Chicago. Inside the 35. Tackled by John Anderson. Got a good block by Suhey, and Walter Payton adjusts his pads. Now has 52 yards on 8 carries.
You said it was a good block by Suhey. Let's watch him as he'll lead the way here and throw a block right in this area on the linebacker. Take a look at Matt Suhey. Don't watch Walter Payton. Watch Matt Suhey, number 26, as he goes through the hole, and there comes the block there. I didn't quite make out who it was. It looked like it might have been couldn't quite tell, but it was a heck of a block. Let's say he blocked King Kong, okay?
I think it was Randy Scott, number 55, but our picture was a little fuzzy. First down. They're at the 35 of Green Bay. fake the draw. McMahon gets it away, and 3 Packers pound him. The ball goes out of bounds. And Anderson, Brown, and Johnson all got a piece of Jim McMahon in the Bear backfield.
Well, you got to give McMahon some points for courage. He stayed there at the last second to try and finally get rid of the pass, and it was John Anderson and
Robert Brown and
Robert
Johnson.
Brown.
Yep.
And Johnson, too. They were all in there. And
McMahon is 1 of 7 for 16 yards. And Zorn is yet to hit on 5.
well, you can understand Zorn a little bit more because he hasn't played very much. McMahon is the #1 rated quarterback in the league, so
The Pack has had a good rush on it. Payton, nice piece of running by Walter Payton, dancing his way over the 30 to the 28-yard line of Green Bay. Ezra Johnson ranged back from defensive end, number 90, to make the tackle, and it'll leave 3rd down and 3 for Chicago.
you know, Ezra Johnson has really come on to be the leader for Green Bay, especially this week. He said he's played a lot of games against the Bears, and this is one he wants more than anyone that he's ever played. You know, that's saying something for Ezra Johnson.
He underlined the word hate in our discussion with Ezra. He said, we hate them. We're angry, and we're going to go out and beat them. 3rd down. Whoops, miscue. McMahon tripped up and then buried. They steal the ball from him, but the play over. Douglas and Scott put the hit on him. And whether he stumbled on his own or whether a Packer hand tripped him up, we may be able to see on the replay.
And this is the case. There was a little mix-up on the play there, and then he stumbles coming out. This is where the Packers had their free shot. Here comes Douglas, 53, and Scott, 55. They had their free shot at the quarterback, and McMahon pushes back there a little bit, and Douglas gets into it with McMahon. Michael Douglas, who has something to prove this week. You know, you've heard all the stories about the situation last weekend in the locker room, and he was being criticized, and there was a fight. There hasn't been too much said about it, but he did say to me yesterday that the Packer coaches apologized this week after they looked at the game films, that he had played a good game and that he had a right to defend himself. So sometimes things are set in motion when you lose, like they lost to Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah, it was an upsetting loss. Hey, they had their butts kicked, 37-10. Buford will punt for the Bears, angling for the corner. Down there is Gentry and Sean Gale. And did they keep it out? Yes, they did. Sean Gale downing the ball, and they're going to spot it. Well, one official may give it the Gentry spot. No, it's going to be Gale's spot at the 4-yard line. So Green Bay will be starting from their end zone. And we want to remind you that next week CBS Sports presents doubleheader action. Your area will receive one of the following important matchups. The Lions at 5-3. They're playing Minnesota today against the unbeaten Bears, who may or may not be at the end of this day. The Rams and the Giants, a big battle. And Green Bay at Minnesota, St. Louis at Tampa Bay. The doubleheader action, Dallas and Washington, one of the great rivalries in the NFL, and clearly a very big game for the Redskins, with maybe more so depending on the outcome of their game today. Check your local listings for the game in your area preceding our doubleheader action. 1st down from the 4-yard line of Green Bay. I formation. Eddie Lee Ivory. Another flag is down. And it is Perry who made the tackle on Ivory after a gain of about 3 yards. 1 minute, 11 seconds remaining in this first period, and the preliminary signal against the Packers.
Well, they couldn't be penalized too much. So
Holding, number 57, offense, half the distance to the goal line. Still 1st down.
That is rookie guard Rich Moran from San Diego State. Had been getting some time last week for Keith Euchre, and Euchre playing hurt, wound up going on to injured reserve. And we expect to see Ken Rutgers, the other rookie in this game, as Forrest Gregg told us that he wanted to get his #1 pick from USC, some time in Carl Swanke's spot at left tackle. 1st down and 12 from the 2s. Clark plows out to the 5-yard line, a gain of 3 on the play. Singletary And William Anthony Perry made the tackle. Bears defensive unit a little surprised that Perry was made a starter this week. Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael feeling that, hey, you don't touch a good thing. Here's the Bears defense doing a fine job again this year, not ranked number 1 as they were much of last year, but with Mike Hartenstein being benched from his starting role in favor of William Perry, the tactic being that they hope to get a better rush from the outside with Hampton playing out at left end. And Hampton got a lick on that ball carrier. They'll make it Otis Wilson who made that contact as Jesse Clark took quite a rap, was spun into the traffic, got the ball out to about the 9-yard line. We'll leave 3rd and 5. And time expires here in the first period. It's been a long first quarter with the penalties, and the Packers continue to hold the lead. They scored on their first series. They lead 3-0.
It doesn't get any better than this. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. Mike Ditka on the Bears sideline. His team down 3-0 with -3 passing in the first period. They have 4 first downs to the Packers 1, but they haven't done anything yet.
Tough situation to be passing against the Bears.
3rd down and 5 from the 9-yard line of Green Bay. Zorn from the goal line takes a hit. The pass is caught by Kaufman. A battle for the loose ball. Singletary on the coverage, and it will be Green Bay ball. What a catch by Kaufman. Singletary is furious. He says he made the intercept. A 22-yard first down play. A flag down after the play was whistled dead.
Well, Mike Singletary is upset, but it did appear that Kaufman had the ball, went down, hit the turf, and then he yanked the ball out afterwards. And a penalty. It was into double coverage. They had him well covered. Jim Zorn was got the ball off. As you're going to take a look at Kaufman with Wilbur Marshall, he put a good move on Wilbur Marshall, who's covering him downfield, number 58 and number 50 Singletary, 2 linebackers on the coverage on the tight end. Now they have the coverage, but Kaufman just went up, took the ball. He's down. He's got the ball at this point, and then it is kind of, there it is under his foot. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looked like when it came down, he had the ball.
Yes, he did, and that's what the officials ruled, that the play was over, that he was down with the ball, with the completion, and when it came loose, Singletary grabbed it and thought it should be a fumble.
Well, sometimes they try and cover Kaufman with 1 linebacker. That time, they used 2.
So the Packers get upfield out from the shadow of their end zone and have it at the 46-yard line. A loose ball, Zorn able to recover it, but there'll be a loss of a yard on the play. Mark Cannon, the center, number 58, and Jim Zorn, the quarterback, having a bit of a problem on the exchange. Steve McMichael burying Zorn after he covered the football. So Jim Zorn, well, he has yet to be sacked, has been knocked down a couple of times after he released the ball and has been under some pressure with 3 hurries on him.
The Packers have been trying to establish a running game. Of course, the Bears are number 1 in the NFL against the run. So the better time to throw on them is on 1st down and 2nd down.
2nd and 11 with a slot formation left for Green Bay, 1 setback. Jesse Clark with another flag down, picks up about 3 yards near the 49-yard line of Green Bay. Dan Hampton on the tackle. We had 8 penalties in the first period, and we've had 2 flags here already in the second. Illegal motion, the signal against Green Bay. The Pack had 4 penalties for 37 yards in the first quarter, and the Bears 4 for 35.
Illegal motion, number 67, offense. Penalty is declined, 3rd down.
So the Bears decline it. Will leave 3rd and 11. I'll make it 3rd on the gain by Clark. It'll make it 3rd and 7.
I wonder if James Lofton is going to become a factor in this game. They double cover him a lot, but a lot of times you can beat double coverage. You know, you get in between the zone and stuff like that, and Lofton is their biggest threat, and I think they got to try him a little bit.
The penalty count to the moment. has been a factor in this football game, certainly in the score and in the length of time to play the first quarter. Out of the shotgun, Blake Moore, the snap to Zorn. Zorn gets good protection. Sideliner complete to Epps. Epps down the sideline and driven out at about the 21-yard line. Flags are down, however, once more back at the line of scrimmage. Sean Gale drove him out. And Philip Epps, with that dangerous sprinter speed, got down the sideline after shaking away from the cover man, who I believe was the rookie Ken Taylor, but it looks like it's going to come all the way back.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 67 offense. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 95 defense. Penalties offset, replay the down.
Wow. Well, there's just another example, Johnny, of how the tempers are hurting both teams, but particularly the Packers. Here's a big play for Green Bay, and because of a squabble between Swanky and Dent, that play goes for naught. They're still back at third down.
And that's twice happened to Green
Yes,
Bay
it
on
has.
key plays where penalties have negated the play. So.
And that's one where you've got both teams involved, and yet the Packers wind up with a 31-yard play wiped out. Packers have been tough at home. They've won 3 out of the last 4 against Chicago here at home. They're at 3-5 on the season against the unbeaten Bears. Epps and Bernard in at wide receiver. Lots of time for Zorn. Zorn's pass complete, and it's Epps again. Epps again eluding the defenders and gets to the 30-yard line. Big play by Zorn and Philip Epps. First down at the Bears 30. No flags down yet. 21 yards.
And they're working on Ken Taylor. He's the cornerback playing as Epps goes down. Look at the room that Taylor gives him. And then the biggest mistake he comes up is he's got to go for that man and make that tackle. Great play by Epps as he cuts back and gets downfield for the first down. Philip Epps, who had a big play last week against Indianapolis, called back that end around. So if Philip Epps can become a part of this offense, it'll take a lot of pressure off of James Lofton, who's getting doubled quite a bit. Packers on the move, and Zorn seems to be warming up a little bit.
Epps had 20 catches coming into the game to 40 by Lofton. Lofton has continued to be their main man, but Epps may be the faster of the two. They can both fly. First down at the 30-yard line. Eddie Lee Ivory comes in motion off the wing. Now there's an interesting play, but flags are everywhere. They had Eddie Lee Ivory come in motion off the wing all the way out to the near sideline. Like to have seen that play finish.
57 offense.
But it's illegal motion, a false start charged against Swanky. So the play does not develop at all.
So Swanky may be another player that's a little overexcited. He's been involved in a couple of them right now in the last couple of minutes. So there's no question we had the game pegged right. It was going to be an emotional football game. Gee.
That's the 10th penalty. 5 to each team. First and 15. And again, Ivory lined up on the wing left. The lone setback is Jesse Clark. And here comes Ivory in motion again. They go to Clark inside. He is buried at the line. William Perry was there. And Steve McMichael, number 76. There'll be no gain on forward progress. It'll be right at the line of scrimmage, so it'll still be first and 15.
William Perry getting some more playing time. He's not on the kick teams now because he's getting to play steadily, and he will be possibly in on offense. But Mike Ditka says he's too good a football player. We've got to get him in the lineup, and there he is, number 72. He's got more commercial opportunities in the last week than the man in the moon.
I spoke with his agent about that just a couple of days ago, and we'll tell you about what's happening with the refrigerator. Second and 15. Zorn intended for Eddie Lee Ivory out of the backfield, but off the mark. It'll leave third and 15. I spoke with Jim Steiner, who handles Perry, as we see Jim Zorn saying, "Yep, bad throw on my part, Eddie." And he said he's had a call 1 every 10 minutes since that San Francisco game that brought Perry to national prominence. And he's had an assortment of offers, everything from dentists who want to fix the gap in his front teeth so he'll look prettier in his posters, all the way down to refrigerator companies who naturally want him to endorse their product. T-shirts, posters, toy robots, all those things you might expect.
And he says he can spike a basketball any way you want it.
3rd down and 15. 3 wide receivers for the Packers. Pressured. Hampton has Zorn. The sack back to the 45-yard line of the Bears. And it'll be 4th down.
Dan Hampton, who played defensive end, he's played defensive tackle and back at defensive end. Blake Moore is one of the blockers on the situation, along with Rich Moran, and 99 just gets through them both and just puts the sack on Jim Zorn. So the Packers are going to have to punt.
That gives Hampton 3.5 sacks on the season. He's not so much unhappy about being out at left end because he thinks it might protect his long legs a little more than the action he gets inside. But he did say, nonetheless, that they were surprised that Perry has become a starter halfway through a successful season. Prokop hitting from the 45-yard line. It is Dennis McKinnon at his own 9. McKinnon gets out for the 13-yard line of the Bears. And we have 10:46 remaining in the first half at Lambeau Field. The Packers 3, the Bears nothing. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at Lambeau Field, where the Chicago Bears will have to start from their 14-yard line following the Packer punt. And they trail 3-0. On first down, the Bears have been averaging 6.1 yards coming into today's game. Today, they are a yard .8.
Galt's in the backfield in motion now.
Galt in motion out to the left. Fake to Payton. The pass to Moore to Galt. Incomplete. Looked like both receivers were expecting to get a shot at that ball. The deep man, Galt, went diving to try and catch it, and he's getting up slowly. Emery Moorhead, when he saw the ball in his flight path, tried to make a grab on it. And Galt being assisted off.
Actually, you end up with 2 receivers almost in the same spot. It's hard to tell who McMahon was throwing to, as both of them came very close to it, but Galt was injured as he hit the turf there, and I think he might have knocked the wind out, or maybe it seemed to be holding his stomach.
McMahon, 1 of 8, the league's leading passer, 16 yards, has been sacked 3 times. 2nd and 10.
Kenny Marjoram in.
Marjoram for Galt. Short drop by McMahon. Gets it out to the tight end. That's Moorhead. Moorhead has a first down. Driven out at the 34-yard line. Make it the 35. A 21-yard gain. Randy Scott and Ken Stills on the tackle.
The linebackers didn't get out in time because the wide receiver will come across from the right of your screen. The tight end on just kind of a fly out into the flat, and there was a mistake on the coverage because Moorhead is all by himself. All of a sudden you'll see a bunch of linebackers come in on the coverage, but there was a mistake by Green Bay in that defensive backfield.
It is first down Chicago at their own 35-yard line. Marjoram out to the right. McKinnon left. Suey and Payton in the backfield. McKinnon in motion. Pitch to Payton. Payton with a good hold. Breaks a tackle and gets a first down to the 46-yard line of the Bears. Tripped up by Mossy Cade. 12-yard gain for Payton, who now has 70 yards in this first half.
And that's a lot of yards. He also now has 106 touchdowns, 4th on the all-time list. He recently passed a former great Packer, Don Hudson. Walter Payton, 10 rushes for 70. You double that, and that's 140 yards, and the game is not even halfway old yet.
First down from Chicago's 47-yard line. Payton again dances outside. Douglas catches up with him. Ball came loose, but play whistled dead. Packers came up with the football, but the play was over. Mossy Cade picked it up. We've had 2 or 3 of those today where the ball has come loose just after the whistle is blown.
Good linebacker play by the linebackers, Michael Douglas and Randy Scott. You'll see over here, they'll come up and they will meet the charge of Matt Suey, who will come to lead the blocking. Now watch the linebackers jam up the blocking. As they come through here, there's Douglas and Randy Scott, 53 and 55. Payton, such a great running back, dips outside the jam up, and Douglas, 53, continued his pursuit and got in on the tackle. Good hustle by Michael Douglas.
2nd down and 5. In Packer territory at the 48. Suey met by Brian Noble, the rookie linebacker. Douglas forced him wide. Noble cleaned him up, the rookie from Arizona State. Loss on the play of 2.
Well, the Packer defense may be banged up, but they're sure playing spirited football. At the beginning of the game, it was a little bit too spirited, but it seems like things are settling down a little bit for that defense.
Tom Flynn has come into the secondary for the first time today, and Ronnie Burgess in on this passing situation as well. To the right comes Brad Anderson. Bears with 4 wide receivers in. Willie Galt lined up in the backfield with McMahon and Payton. They give it to Willie Galt. Dalton trying to get outside, cannot do it. It was John Anderson. The Packers read it well, and they stuffed him. A gain of maybe a yard at most. It'll be 4th down.
Great play by John Anderson, who had 9 tackles. As you can see, he's got that sore thumb, a man who's broken his arm 3 times. They saw Galt in the backfield, and I think that signaled to them what they were going to do. They watched Willie Galt, 83, come on the inside handoff, and not only was it Anderson, but it was Ezra Johnson, 59. You can see Hayes, everybody was over there. That play was really defensed well by the Packers.
He was the big man last week against Indianapolis in the losing cause, leading the team in tackles. A steady performer for them. Buford. That punt will go into the end zone and through. And Green Bay will start from their 20-yard line. 7:22 remains in the first half, and the Packers lead on Al Del Greco's field goal. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Lambeau Field. The only score, the field goal by Del Greco that came on the first offensive series of the Bears. They fumbled the ball, Payton did, and Del Greco kicked the field goal as Ken Rutgers, the #1 pick from USC, has come in at left tackle, replacing Carl Schwanke. Rutgers' first appearance. With 7:22 to play first half. In motion comes Jesse Clark off the wing. Pitches to Ivory. Gets away from Dent. Ivory dancing away from Perry out to the 30-yard line. He'll have a first down, Green Bay. Sean Gale and Leslie Frazier made the tackle. Gale came in to replace Ken Taylor, the rookie at left corner, in Richardson's spot.
Watch number 95, Richard Dent. He comes across, gets across on the block, comes outside, and he thinks he has him dead to right, but a nice move back into the inside. Dent misses the tackle, and they wind up with one of their better runs of this afternoon.
At the 30-yard line after an 11-yard pickup, first down, Green Bay. Clark in motion. Ivory again. Ivory smacked by Singletary. A gain of about 3 with Wilbur Marshall in on it, number 58.
Boy, this rivalry goes back a long ways. The Bears have won 69 games, the Packers 55, and there have been 6 ties. It started out with the old Acme Packers against the Decatur Staleys.
The Staleys start.
You remember that first game?
Oh, sure I do. I remember it well. It was a cold day.
You can bet it was cold.
The Staleys beat the Acme Packers 20-0. Remember it well. Second down. And 7 to go. Green Bay. Zorn gets some time. Intended for Lofton. Incomplete. Zorn just kind of let that one fly. And Lofton, looking outside for the ball, just saw it go out of bounds. Zorn looking for the signal now this time. I guess they had a discussion of whether to shuttle plays in or signal them in for Zorn. It was interesting for Forrest Gregg to tell us that they would talk about that before the game and let the quarterback decide today what he was more comfortable with. There's Forrest. So it may develop that they're doing some of each.
Well, the Packers with a 3-5 record, if they lose this game, any kind of a chance for a wild card would probably be out the window.
3rd and 7, Green Bay. Slot formation right. Blitz. Zorn gets time, trying to find a receiver. Goes to the short man, Clark, and it is incomplete. Most of the receivers were working the other side of the field, it appeared. Zorn rolled out to his left, found nobody open downfield, so Green Bay will have to punt. Well, we see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ahead of the Giants 10-6 in the second quarter.
Miami has the lead over New England 10-3. That also is in the second quarter. Houston 6-0 over Kansas City. The Oilers are starting to come to life. Look at Washington 24-3 over Atlanta. And Buffalo 10-6 over Cincinnati second quarter.
Joe Prokop hits it from his 24-yard line, a short punt. Fair catch signal by Taylor at the Bears' 35-yard line. So good field position. A 32-yard punt. Some boos from the Packer unfaithful here. Prokop's been having his problems. Beat up on Cal, 30-6. So that's our action. Live, 3:30 Eastern Time. One game or the other in your area next week on CBS Sports. First down Bears at their own 35-yard line. They trail 3-0. McMahon is 2 of 9 for 37 yards. Play action. Sails it out to Suey. Not a good pass. He sidearmed it with the rush coming just as he unloaded from Brown and Donnie Humphrey, number 79. Humphrey, the second-year man from Auburn, getting some defensive time. Forrest Gregg has been using all 6 of his down linemen in one formation or another.
That's the elevator. That's Packers' name for Donnie Humphreys. He says he wants a piece of the refridge before this game is over.
A big part of the Bears' offense has been to throw successfully on first down. McMahon is 0 for 7 in that department today. Marjoram and McKinnon, the wide receivers. 2nd and 10. Walter Payton. Payton almost got loose. He has a first down at midfield. He has been what there has been of the Bears' offense today. Gary Hayes on the tackle. 90 yards for Payton.
And he simply broke some tackles as 3 or 4 men got a hand on him. Brian Noble, 91. You'll see him come across, and he's the man that had the shot at him. 91 right there. He breaks that tackle and then turns on up the field. And they tried to strip the ball, and finally Michael Douglas is in on the tackle along with Hayes. But you're right. That's been the Bear offense. Walter Payton, shades of the late 70s and the early 80s.
When they were losing.
First
down at midfield. Moorhead in motion off the wing. That's Suey behind Payton. He picks up 4. Tripped up by Tim Lewis, the 3rd-year man from Pittsburgh. Watching the Pack in practice the other day. Well, let's take a look at this play.
Let's take a look at Emory Moorhead. He's the man that goes in motion, and he'll come across here and throw the block on 53, Douglas. And then Douglas gets up, but you can see the tight end was the key man to help Payton get his 4 yards. But Douglas, with great efforts, watch 87, and he's going to block on 53. He dumps Douglas right there. Now 53 gets back up. Michael Douglas, 53, gets over and actually ends up getting in on the tackle. Good play on both ends.
2nd down and 6. Walter Payton inside has a first down. Driven down from behind by Douglas with Brian Noble in on it as well, number 91, but another Bear first down. And that's 100 yards on the day.
Brian Noble, 91, has got to be frustrated. Here's another time he had a shot at Walter Payton. Coming from the left, 91, to hit Walter Payton right there. He's got to get him in those kind of situations, and Payton just bounced off it and got an extra 4 or 5 yards. The greatest runner ever to play this football game, in my opinion.
First down at the 36-yard line of Green Bay. The Bears with what looks like their first drive underway, and it's all been due to Walter Payton. Payton again. This time he's met by Donnie Humphrey, but still drives for about 3 yards out the left side.
Walter Payton shares the all-time record for rushing yardage in Lambeau Field, 205 yards. He set it a few years ago against Green Bay to tie a record held by Gale Sayers. 17 years ago today, Gale Sayers rushed for 205 yards, and a few years later, it was Walter Payton matching that with 205, and he's on that pace right now.
And it is his 68th 100-yard game in his distinguished career. 2nd and 8. Chicago, 2 tight ends, Moorhead and Reitman in. Short drop, pass out to Reitman. Reitman is pulled down by Mossy Cade, but he has the Bear first down. 12-yard gain for Tim Reitman. Drafted back in '82, went to the USFL. Here he is.
Okay, you see Mossy Cade, he's the new strong safety. He puts the jam on Reitman. Reitman pushes off and goes to the outside, and it's almost impossible to stop that pattern if you let the tight end get a step on you to the outside. Tim Reitman 10 receptions, 187 yards. Has done a good job whenever he's had a chance to get in there. But, you know, overall, Mossy Cade's not doing a bad job in there, considering he's on the spot.
I think he's been remarkable because we haven't been able to detect him badly out of position on any play yet. And a timeout on the field with 2 minutes remaining in the first half. The Bears driving, the Packers leading. Packer backers from Kenosha are here in force today with the Packers leading 3-0 in just 2 minutes remaining in the first half. And coming up at halftime, Brennan Irv will be joined by Dan Deerdorf in our studios in New York. The NFL Today will bring you up to date on scores and highlights and a special look at the soaring Eagle defense. Now that's not a formation, that's the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which has been doing an outstanding job, especially since Ron Jaworski has come back to become the starter. The Eagles making things difficult for everybody in the NFC East. And now even at 4-4, in the thick of it. First down, Bears at the 23-yard line of Green Bay. Moorhead in motion. Peyton back the other way. And good defensive work. Ezra Johnson trailed them all away, and Mike Douglas would not let him turn it upfield. Douglas lost his helmet on the play, but he didn't lose his man. He stopped Peyton, and it's a gain of maybe 2, if that.
Okay.
In the hurry up now.
Let's take a look at Ezra Johnson and Michael Douglas. They're over here at this part of the thing, and you can see they're going to collide with Matt Suhey.
Well, we got to go back.
We got to go back.
And the ball came loose on the pass to Peyton, and it is incomplete. Again, the Packers coming up with a loose ball, but that ball was never ruled a completion.
Okay, we'll look at that replay since you didn't get to see it the first time. Let's see what happened. We'll all see what happened because I was involved in the telestrator here as McMahon throws.
Well, it was caught by Peyton and did advance the ball.
And it's Anderson in on the tackle. And he's on the ground actually before the ball comes loose.
Tim Lewis in on the tackle, and the play ruled dead at the 15-yard line with a timeout on the field. And the Bears on 3rd and 2 have Jim McMahon discussing things with Mike Ditka, offensive coordinator Ed Hughes, helping to decide what the plays will be here on 3rd and 2, 1:22 on the clock.
And notice how thick in the waist Jim McMahon is. He's even padded that side pad even more. He has plenty of protection there because of the kidney injury that he had. And you find more and more players, even wide receivers now, are getting some rib pads because they're so exposed when they go up for passes. And it's just getting the players are wearing more and more equipment, but it's getting lighter and lighter. You know, it's not as heavy as it used to be.
Well, that's certainly a good development for safety. We notice he's also got a little more padding on the top of his head. That hair's growing back.
At least it's warmer anyway.
So it is 3rd and 2 on the 15-yard line. Bears trail 3-0. They haven't done anything offensively until this drive. Peyton blasts his way over the 10 to about the 8-yard line. Green Bay defense has been tenacious and fired up from the start of this football game. They have shut down the Bears' passing game, but they haven't been able to stop Peyton on this drive.
That was straight ahead, one-on-one blocking, nothing fancy as Mark Bortz provided the key block.
1st and goal from the 9. Mark Bortz, a new proud father, first baby born to he and his wife Lisa. The boy, 6 pounds 9 ounces.
48 seconds.
1st and goal. Lots of time for McMahon. A flag down, intended for Matt Suhey. It is tipped away incomplete. And a flag on the play before he released the football. Donnie Humphrey had the pressure on him. Let's see what happened if somebody jumped a little early.
Green Bay was offsides.
Offside, number 79, defense, still first down.
Well, that was Humphrey, number 79.
You can see him. He's right over the center, number 79. He's in actually for Charles Martin right now, and he jumps across, and that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. McMahon has that way of calling the signals that the defenses are starting to get leery of because he emphasizes the wrong hut. Like, say it's a hut, it's on 4. He'll go hut, 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 and then hut. You see what I mean? He's trying to pull the defense off, and it works.
Illegal?
No, it is not illegal. It is not illegal. I'll explain that later.
We are inside the 5-yard line of the Packers, first and goal. 41 seconds. The Chicago Bears trailing 3-0, trying to get to the end zone. Another big defensive play. Payton shook away from number 29, Stills, but Stills nonetheless made it possible for his mates to stop Payton from going into the end zone.
Good hustle by the interior of the Green Bay line, because there were a couple of blocks by the Bears to knock the outside guys down. But the interior of the line came over and made the tackle. You can't shake your head. To get back to your point, can't shake your head or anything, bob your head, but you can do anything you want with your voice.
So he's keeping his head still while he's doing that. That's
right.
The key, huh? All right, the Refrigerators come onto the field as we remind you that next Sunday, doubleheader action will feature the Bears at home against the surging Detroit Lions. The Rams will be at the Giants, a big battle for both teams. Green Bay will be at Minnesota next week, and the Cardinals at Tampa Bay. It all begins at 12:30 Eastern Time and finishes with our doubleheader game, the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins.
And Washington having a good day. As you mentioned, the Refrigerator is in. William Perry and the Packers come in with 5 men to counter the Refrigerator. All the bulk is coming in for the Green Bay Packers, and they're exhorting the fans.
Brian Noble turned around and started to cheerlead that end zone. Second and goal, 30 seconds on the clock.
They have to watch out to not put too much emphasis on the Refrigerator, because the Bears could do something else off of them.
George Cumby is where he was 2 weeks ago. Now they shift Perry up to the wing left.
Oh, Mike Ditka is something else, isn't he?
Jim McMahon discussing the crowd noise with the referee. Now the Packers asking their fans to cool it down some.
Well, at first they were asking for some support. Now they're asking for them to quiet down. And the Refrig is on the left flank.
Situation, no 30-second clock. No 30-second clock.
All right, you just heard our referee, Bob McElwee, say that
Do not run the 30-second clock during crowd noise.
they will not run the 30-second clock, which could lead to a delay of game penalty, obviously, if the Bears couldn't get the play off within the allotted time. But because of the hometown noise, they won't run the clock. This drive started at the Bears' 35-yard line, and mainly Walter Payton has been the Bear offense getting them down here to the second and goal from the 4.
Now, something very interesting, George Cumby, 52, the man that the Refrig kind of annihilated a couple of weeks ago, is over there on his side where the Refrigerator is. 52 is head up on 72 off the line of scrimmage.
They have a goal line defense with 6 down linemen, including Brian Noble, the linebacker. Now he straightens up, but that's because of the crowd noise. We may never get this play off.
The Bears have 2 tight ends, and Andy Frederick is actually an N71. He's a tackle who would be an eligible receiver. So there's room for all kinds of maneuvers by both teams here.
Well, last week, there was high anticipation of seeing William Perry, number 72, either carry the ball or block, and it never occurred in the Minnesota game, despite all of the talk beforehand about what the Vikings might do to prevent it. And here today, we've had 2 opportunities. That end zone crowd playing their role as they see it in this game. So the fans' second opportunity to see what and if William Perry will have any involvement on this offensive play. Well, the Packers trying to get the fans to calm down. They want to get the play run. Perry. High fives from Walter Payton for William Perry, who's now a...
And they didn't even spike it. William Perry scores his second touchdown. His first as a pass receiver. Cumbie, 52, is chasing him over there, but he gets caught up in the action there. And Perry, and the thing you lose sight of is that he's very quick for such a big man. For a first 5 or 10 yards, he has quickness.
Kevin Butler for the point after. Fuller will hold. And it is good. So the Bears go 65 yards in 11 plays in what a climax. A pass to a 308-pound receiver by the name of William Anthony Perry. You saw that little burst of quickness you described, Johnny, just as he made his turn upfield, and he can catch the football.
I know that's got to be a record. Has any 308-pound receiver caught a touchdown?
I doubt it.
If they have, I'll tell you, it was back in 1761 with somebody else.
The refrigerator evidently can do it all.
The key here was they tricked George Cumbie, poor George Cumbie, because he's coming across as he was in motion, and he gets caught up in the situation. Well, we don't see it there, but the big thing is he kind of cross-handed as he caught the ball. There is Cumbie trailing, and he's got to be a frustrated linebacker for the Green Bay Packers.
Well, you wouldn't expect that they would be running Perry out on a pass pattern, but this young man has shown that he can do everything there is, and he's going to work on the kickoff team now to get a little more exercise.
And you got to give Mike Ditka some credit for creativity. I don't know, are the Packers going to feel that's rubbing it in? I don't know. They're going to get even madder, as Forrest Gregg has got to be frustrated with a play like that. They were fooled.
They lined him up on the wing, and no doubt expecting that the Packers were going to load up to try and prevent him from blocking or carrying the ball, so the Bears threw it to him. 65-yard drive, 5:17 used up on the clock. And the Bears, who had really done nothing offensively, now have the 7-3 lead. Butler will kick it off, and it's a good one. It's taken by Gary Ellis at the 3-yard line of Green Bay. Ellis picks his way out and gets over the 25 to the 26-yard line, where he's stopped by Jim Morrissey and Ron Rivera. So with 19 seconds left, Jim Zorn will bring out the Packers. And they led until these final seconds with the field goal by Al Del Greco way back on the first offensive series of Green Bay. That followed a Walter Payton fumble on the Bears' first series.
Well, I guess William Perry has to be the first two-way player since Roy Green, I guess.
I like what Ray Sands of the Chicago Sun-Times said about him last week. He called it the highest calling for a refrigerator since the first ice cube. It is first down from the 25-yard line for the Pack. Eddie Lee Ivory gets about 3 or 4 yards, and the crowd boos the running effort. And that'll be the final play of this first half. And so the teams will go to the locker rooms after a long first half of play, and now a Chicago Bear lead, 7-3.
It caused him to be ejected from the game. Now he comes late here, and now right here it would have been okay. Then Payton kind of jams back at him a little bit, and then Lee takes him right over the bench. And for this, he was ejected from the game, and that was a big blow for the Green Bay Packers because they have a lot of young people, inexperienced people in that defensive backfield.
And yet, so far, they've been doing very well against McMahon's passing, but Payton with the run set up what proved to be the most interesting touchdown of this season and any to this point, because here's a play that
308-pound receiver.
That wasn't the Johnny Morris pass-catching technique you're saying, huh?
No, here we get another look at it. Watch him hesitate just a little bit there, and then he just gets through the traffic, and Cumbie was so sure it was going to be a run, he got fooled. And Perry, I think the interesting thing there is that he showed pretty good quickness. You know, somebody who weighs 308 pounds, you can't expect him to move very fast. He got out there in a hurry. And, of course, he's happy.
The refrigerator, quickly a national monument, at least among football players in this country, and we'll be back with the second half of a 7-3 ball game. Long way to go. See you in a minute.
All the right parts in all the right places. Napa's putting smiles on American faces.
Napa means auto parts. So dependable, they may be the best part of your car. More than 100,000.
Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris at Lambeau Field, and it'll be Butler kicking off for the Bears. A short kickoff comes down at the 15-yard line. It's bobbled by Ellerson, and he recovers it. Gary Ellerson now, good job to get up to the 20-yard line, having to start from the bobbled ball. And it was Jim Morrissey on the tackle, number 51 for Chicago.
As we mentioned, William Perry is back on the kicking teams, and he gets a little part of the action, number 72, to make sure of the tackle. And he is now in on defense again.
He's earning his paycheck today.
He certainly is.
He'll probably be renegotiating at the end of the game, having scored his touchdown. It is first down from the 20-yard line. Green Bay trailing 7-3. They had the 3-0 lead from the beginning of the first half to the end of the first half. Jesse Clark for a first down. Hard running out the left side. Singletary and Frazier put the stop on him, but that's Jesse Clark at his best.
Well, maybe that's a sign for the Green Bay Packers. They gained only 68 yards total in the entire first half, and you can't win football games with only 68 yards. As Jesse Clark got some running room before Mike Singletary brought him down. First down, Green Bay.
Their longest rushing gain of the game, and Clark came into the game with 432 yards rushing. A fine runner. Blasting straight ahead, gets about 4 on that play. Steve McMichael on the tackle, Singletary and Fensick there. Look at those numbers, just 34 yards rushing and 34 passing for the Packers. And the Bears weren't not exactly brilliant.
They had 153 yards, 113 rushing. Walter Payton had 110 of them. So he has been really, aside from the penalty situation, he's been the story of this game offensively as far as either team is concerned.
The Green Bay defense, fired up, has done the job stopping the Bear pass attack. Second down. Zorn gets it off to Ivory. He's got some room. He has a first down and gets inside Bear territory with a great second effort. All the way to the 45-yard line. Jim Zorn says, way to go. 19-yard gain on the play.
That time Zorn got the protection. Watch number 50. That's Singletary. He has to take that back out of the backfield. 50 is heading towards the left side of the screen as they cleared the zone. It's a tough job for a linebacker. Everybody else was dragged down the field, and then it was Ivory against Singletary, and Ivory got a few extra yards out of it. First down again for the Green Bay Packers, as Perry was also in on that tackle.
Lee Ivory. 12 catches coming into the game. Always dangerous runner or receiver. Carl Swanke is back in at left tackle for the Pack, number 67. And straight ahead, Ivory this time is stacked up after a gain of maybe a yard. Richard Dent led the charge, number 95. And about everybody else on the Bears front got in on it. And at the moment, they've got Hampton, McMichael, Perry, and Dent as the front four. 2nd and 9 for the Pack.
That Chicago Bear defense allowed only 7 points in the second half in the last 5 games. That's a pretty good statistic.
The Packers in their territory at the 44-yard line. Zorn runs out of time, eludes the rush. The pass complete to Paul Kaufman. And Kaufman has a first down. Singletary made the tackle. And a 9-yard gain. Let's go to Brent Musburger at our studios in New York for an NFL update.
Well, Tim, here is the Giants score that they just got, and it was Joe Morris sweeping around the left side. And the Giants can breathe a little sigh of relief right now, as they at least have tied the Buccaneers at 13. They're in the 3rd quarter. Let's go back to Tim and Johnny.
Giants in 2nd place in the NFC East behind Dallas. Dallas playing the Monday night game this week. 1st and 10. Buccaneers looking for their first win. Played everybody tough. Due to get one. First down, Green Bay at the 35. Ivory almost out of traffic. He got away from Perry, but then was met by the linebackers, Marshall and Singletary, and dropped for a loss on the play.
Now let's take a look at the what you call the intrusion by the Chicago Bears. Watch Perry and Dent, 72 and 95. They come across and get across there in front of Moran, 57 there, and jam up the play so that nothing could go the way the Packers had designed it. So they had penetration, and that was the key to that defensive play. The Packer offensive line is having some trouble with that Bear defensive on running situations.
2nd and 14. Zorn starts the roll, and he is sacked. A flag is down away from the ball. Hampton was there. The charge led by Dent and Perry. And Hampton getting Zorn, but the flag down way over on the other side of the field.
It's going to be against Green Bay, some illegal motion. Boy, was Dent across the line of scrimmage that time.
Illegal motion, number 85, offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Philip Epps leaving too soon on the play.
Richard Dent, 95, was across the line of scrimmage on big Greg Cook so quickly to the outside and just got a hand right on there. And boy, that pass rush came like it wasn't even there was nothing in the way.
2nd sack of the afternoon. Dan Hampton got it, and it is a long 3rd down.
But it was Richard Dent who came to the outside and got there first.
At the Bears' 48-yard line. Slot formation left for the Pack. Short drop by Zorn. He's got his man Lofton. And Lofton short of the 1st down by considerable yardage, driven out by Leslie Frazier. But they got back about 10, maybe 12. Let's call it a 9-yard gain. It'll leave 4th down, however.
It looks like maybe Perry was a little shaken up on the play.
There'll be a whole lot of shaking going on, I would
yes,
say.
I would say so. There is, he got dumped there a little bit. Pretty good block by Cannon, the center. He went underneath the refrigerator, then grabbed a hold of his knee. I tell you, there's some action going on in the pits, isn't there?
Perry gave Cannon a knee, it appeared, and Cannon then tackled him. Got to survive out there. Prokop on 4th down. A flag is down. The ball lands at the 5. And the Packers try to knock it out of bounds, and it may have been stopped, yes, just outside the goal line. 38-yarder by Prokop, but a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. And that may mean a Packer left a little too early. Great effort by the Pack down at the goal line, but illegal procedure. Somebody down a little early from the Packer front line. So Prokop delivered the perfect punt. The punt coverage team did the job, and it comes
Number
back.
71, kicking team illegally downfield. Illegal formation also on the kicking team. Both fouls declined. Touchback.
See, the ball actually got to the end zone, and they're giving them a 1st down at the 20. So the Bears are going to refuse the penalty and take the ball. Chicago Bears lead 7-3.
Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, where the Bears cling to a 7-3 lead that they earned in the final seconds of the 1st half. And they have the football. There was a touchback. As you see, Chicago on the season on 1st down, 6.1 average. Today, 2.5. McMahon has just had trouble passing often, but not being able to hit on 1st down. They got one here from the 20-yard line. Packers failed to they kept the ball out, but they got a body in the end zone on that touchback play. This is Payton. Payton digs for about 4 yards, gets out to the 24-yard line. That'll leave a 2nd and 6. And Ezra Johnson, number 90, the veteran from Morris Brown, made the tackle. 114 yards on the day for Payton. He's carried the ball 18 times. And we're just into the midway part of the 2nd period, 8:35, the 3rd period, 8:35 remaining 3rd quarter.
You know, the Bears lead the league in scoring with 239 points, and the Packers have held them to 7 through the 1st half, so the defense is doing something right.
Well, I think it's remarkable with those 2 rookie safeties in there. The man goes off to Payton. Payton can't get to the 1st down yardage. He's driven out by Tim Lewis, number 26. When you think that the Packers started Mossy Cade and Ken Stills, 2 rookies at safeties because of injuries, and then lose Mark Lee early in the game from the corner, it really is remarkable. They've been playing a lot of zone back there, Johnny, it appears, but it's been effective in keeping the Bears from any kind of a real pass attack.
That's right. The yards have been on the ground. And that time, Lewis came up with a good play. He had Walter Payton out in the flat one-on-one, and Walter's got that straight arm, and Lewis did a good job of knocking him out of bounds. So we have a key play, 3rd down and about 4.
go to the shotgun. Blitz. McMahon with time, trying to get McKinnon, and it is incomplete. Excellent coverage by Gary Hayes. He tipped the ball. McKinnon nearly made an outstanding catch, but the ball hit the ground, and Gary Hayes does the job in Mark Lee's spot.
Good coverage by Gary Hayes as McMahon kind of went out of the pocket and then just threw it up here. And watch Hayes recover here. The pass is up and over, and McKinnon almost made a super catch as he was falling down. But Hayes gets up there, bats the ball. Now watch him. He's falling on his back, and he almost hangs on to the ball. And it hits right there before he can catch the ball. That was almost a circus catch, but give Hayes some credit. He was right there on Dennis McKinnon.
So the Bears will have to punt as the Pack defense shuts him down again. Buford standing at his 12-yard line. The deep man is Philip Epps at the Packer 35. Roy Buford, first in the NFC in punting.
He grabbed him again.
And he gets a dandy here from the 31-yard line. Epps with another flag down on the play. A penalty flag down as Epps got to the 36-yard line. 43-yarder. Dennis Gentry made the tackle. Let's see what this one is. This has been a flag-filled game, to say the least. The holding call is signaled against Green Bay. We are told that Willie Gault has suffered a rib injury and will not return to this football game. We don't know
Holding
the extent of that
number
injury.
24, receiving team. After the kick, post-possession. First down.
Mossy Cade charged with the penalty, and Forrest Gregg plenty upset. They'll start from their 21-yard line with 7:59 remaining in the third quarter at Lambeau Field. The Bears 7, Green Bay 3. Jim Ryan and Johnny Morris, and we're looking now at the Bears sideline. That is Willie Gault standing in the profile to you with the jacket on and the towel around his neck, and apparently injured himself probably on that diving attempt to catch the pass that he couldn't hold on to and got up slowly. This is Jesse Clark on first down, a big hole. About 9 for Jesse Clark. Ken Taylor made the tackle. He got out to the 30-yard line. He's got 40 yards on 10 carries.
The Packers continue to try and establish the running game, and they've been running a lot on first down, but they've been averaging 2.8 yards. And that's not enough to put a defense, in trouble. As you look at the rushing and passing. First down play selection, rushing 13 times out of 14. You've got to throw on first down against the Chicago Bears defense, at least sometimes.
2nd and 1. Ivory has the first down out to the 34-yard line where Singletary made the tackle. The Packers have sent in Tim Huffman to replace Rich Moran at left guard. Huffman just activated this week off injured reserve, 6'5", 280-pounder out of Notre Dame. Moran went off with a little bit of a nick of some kind. Moran was starting for the injured Keith Euchre.
Ed West has come in, so they're going to go into a 2 tight end situation now. He's 86.
Ball at the 34-yard line of the Pack. One setback is Clark. They give it to Clark. Ran into his own blocker. And Clark, what a piece of running by Jesse Clark. Turned that into about a 9-yard gain after William Perry had pushed his blocker into his path. Singletary and Frazier made the tackle.
Let's watch the outside. Watch the right of your screen as you'll see Otis Wilson and Marshall come across. You can see 72 Perry, but there's the push out, and then Clark does a good job of turning in and making yards on his own out of that. He really did. Good job by Clark, one of 13 children.
Son of a sharecropper in Arkansas, went to the University of Arkansas. He is quite a story, quite a young man. And it's Clark for the first down, and he's got it to the 45-yard line where McMichael made the tackle. So the Packers get something moving as we see Pittsburgh leading Cleveland 7-6 in the third quarter. Minnesota ahead of Detroit 13-10. And this one's still knotted up. Tampa Bay and New York in the Dolphins, who have been struggling, having a time with the Patriots 10-3 in the AFC East action.
Bears are in their 46th defense now.
First down at the 45-yard line. Wide open in the middle. Jesse Clark.
The Bears were in their 46th defense, and it was only for Clark to get outside that blitz. You see, Wilber Marshall was in on the blitz. He caught the ball. Zorn picked it up, and it was Gary Fensick, 45, the only man with the chance to catch him. And Jesse Clark had a little speed, gave him a little straight arm, hit him right in the chin with the straight arm, pushed him off, and went into the end zone. Great play for the Green Bay Packers. They beat the Bears where they're sometimes vulnerable on that all-out blitz.
Del Greco to the point after, Zorn to hold. Are back in front. 79 yards in 5 plays. The big one to this man, and it is 10-7. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris at Lambeau Field. Jesse Clark has just scored the longest touchdown pass of the season for the Green Bay Packers, 55 yards, and they're back in front by 3. Al Del Greco, the Bears without the league's leading kickoff returner Willie Gull. He's on the sidelines. It is Taylor from the 10. To the 28 of the Chicago Bears. Packers say they have the football. No signal from the officials, however. And again, the Pack fired up as they've regained the lead. It will be Chicago ball. John Dorsey, the man who grabbed it.
Okay, now you're going to see Jesse Clark right here. He's going to get through here. Number 50, Mike Singletary, is going to blitz, and so is number 58. He's way out to the left. But you watch number 58, he runs right by Clark and doesn't try and jam him. 58, Wilber Marshall. And you'll see it come right down to the left of your screen, right there as 58 went by on the blitz, and Clark opened up over the middle. And defensive coordinators tell your blitzers, knock him back out and don't let him get out.
First down, Chicago. McMahon sideliner. It is complete to McKinnon. McKinnon picks up about 7 yards on the play. John Anderson made the tackle. Mossy Cade in on it as well. It'll be 2nd and 3. That's the first time today that McMahon has been able to hit a first down pass, and that's been a big weapon in the Bears offense through the first 8 unbeaten games. 2nd and 3 from their own 35-yard line. Bears trailed 3-0 on the first series of the game after they had coughed up the ball, the first Packer offensive series, went ahead in the final seconds of the first half. Walter Payton has a first down to the 40-yard line. Brian Noble, the Arizona State rookie, made the stop.
The old shoestring tackle by Noble, who is getting his fill of Walter Payton. They seem to be running by one another, but Noble is a young man who's played very well, is going to be one of the great linebackers in this National Football League. He has done a heck of a job, and he's a big linebacker.
Oh, is he huge?
God,
It's awesome to see him stand down beside him on the practice field.
His arms are bigger than our legs.
119 yards on the day for Walter Payton. Bears in the I formation. Payton driven back this time. The Pack surging to the football, holds them to little of any gain. Randy Scott, the defensive captain, led the charge.
And here is the version of the Packer 46. Number 24, little old Mossy Cade, has got to stay in there. The Bears spotted this 46, and they tried to run at him, and watch him jam it up. He has to take on big defensive linemen. Right here as they come, Mark Borch, 62, 24, Mossy Cade just hangs right in there and makes the play. Great play.
It is 2nd and 10 from the 40-yard line. McMahon deep for Marjoram. Incomplete. Gary Hayes on the coverage. The pass a little bit underthrown, although it might have been farther than Marjoram thought. But Hayes was there at the critical time when the ball came down.
So far, Gary Hayes has an A today. As the ball comes down, he's right with Marjoram step for step. Marjoram stops. I think you're right. He might have misjudged just a little bit. And then Hayes goes up and bats it away. Good play. McMahon had all day to throw that ball as he went on a rollout. He had a personal bodyguard in Mark Bortz, and the Packers had to cover a long time, and Hayes did the job.
Gary Hayes, as we commented, came in to replace Mark Lee, who was thrown out of the football game for knocking Walter Payton to the bench back early in the first period. Ronnie Burgess and Tom Flater in the secondary on third down. Carricker for the pass rush. McMahon under pressure. Gets it off, complete to Payton. Payton dancing up the sideline, and Oxley inbounds. He's out of bounds at the 45. McMahon paid the price with two defenders chasing him. It is fourth down.
A frustrated Jim McMahon, you saw the shot at him as the Packers put the blitz on, a safety blitz, and McMahon is so agile, but credit John Anderson, 59, for continuing the pressure, and he was able to get the pass off, but Payton was not able to get the first down, and the Packers have held the Chicago Bears and will get the ball back.
Tough defense by the Pack. Remarkable story today with two rookies in the secondary. Philip Epps is the deep man. Buford will punt, standing at his 30-yard line. Shifting around on this punt play,
trying to draw him off sides because it's third and about 4.5.
Buford's punt taken by Epps with a fair catch at the 21. So the Pack will start from there. They lead 10-7 with 2:36 remaining in the third quarter. The crowd getting into the fired up action of their team. Lambeau Field. They have the ball now following the Bear punt at their own 20-yard line. Mike Hartenstein has come in defensively. William Perry is out on this first down play. Jesse Clark, the lone setback. Double tight end, long count by Zorn. Clark, and he is met at the line of scrimmage by Singletary, the linebacker, and held to about a yard on the play. It'll leave 2nd and 9. So Jim Zorn came up with a big play, hitting the wide-open Jesse Clark. Talking with Zorn yesterday, asking about his preparation for this week. Once he was told he'd have the start, he said, well, my wife, Joy, helped me out a lot at home with a playbook. She'd give me a little quiz and see if I could come up with the right numbers and terminology. So he was giving her some credit for his pregame preparation. His daughter, Rachel, who's 5 years old, asking him, was he going to play this week? He was glad to hear he was. 2nd and 9. It is almost intercepted by Wilson, intended for Philip Epps. Now, had the ball been higher, Epps was open past Wilson. A flag is down again. So two near misses. Had the ball been higher, it could have been a big gainer for the Pack. It nearly turned into an interception for Chicago.
The penalty is going against Green Bay once again.
Holding, number 86, offense, still second down.
That is Ed West, the second tight end on the play. The second-year man from Auburn, charged with the holding.
There's total offense by half. 153-68 in the first half, and look at how the turnaround has come about. 127-24 in favor of Green Bay in the second half. They did start to run a little more successfully early in the second half.
That's the 8th penalty taken by the Packers, the 13th on the game. It's cost the Pack 66 yards. And they're now second and 20 from the 12. Layers it out to Jesse Clark by himself. He's met by Duerson and dropped there at about the 14-yard line. Richard Dent came over to help out Duerson. And it'll be a 2-yard pickup.
There is
3rd and 18.
Excuse me, Tim. There's the concentration by Jim Zorn as he looks to the sideline for the play. So they have opted to mostly from the sidelines. Once in a while they bring a play in. So He said if he had to choose a team that he would go in against his first start, the last team he would pick would be the Chicago Bears. I don't blame him as far as that with their defensive record.
Well, he was excited about the challenge, as he called it, but obviously that defense that the Bears throw at you would have been a little more pleasant debut against someone else. Third down. And it's complete to Epps. And Zorn finding the targets here in the second half. And Taylor on the coverage. Was he out of bounds or inbounds?
I think he was inbounds.
And it'll be a first down for the Packers. Now the referee coming over.
It's going to be very close as far as the measurement is concerned.
Right.
It's not a question of whether he caught it inbounds or out.
Right, you are,
out of
Johnny.
bounds.
It's right at the marker, which they now put up, and we can see that's what the discussion is. It looks like he's just a little bit short.
And that is certainly very critical because that was a third down play.
Caught the ball inbounds, but he was right near the marker.
That was a nice pass by Zorn, wasn't it?
Excellent.
I mean, that was a long pass because they were coming from the other hash mark. He threw all the way across the field almost and hit that pass right on the dime.
Well, now the official timeout's been waved off, and it is going to be a first down or not. Still don't have a signal yet. And the punting unit's on.
Here comes the pass. See, there's no question that he caught it in bounds, and then he was knocked out. It's very close, isn't it?
Yeah, he was knocked out. I think he only had 1 foot in bounds, but he was driven out. So that definitely was a completion, however, just short. So the Packers will have to punt. Prokop at his own 15. Dave Duerson is now the deep man.
His big problem is not only he has not been kicking for distance too well, but he kicks a lot of line drives, which provides opportunities for returns.
Prokop hits this one to the 30-yard line of the Bears. Duerson dancing his way over the 40, got to about the 41-yard line. Ed West made the tackle there. Good field position for the Chicago Bears, who trail by 3. Next Sunday, the Bears will be at home against the Detroit Lions. And the Lions are now tied up with Minnesota, our last report, at 13-all in the fourth quarter. The Rams and the Giants, Green Bay at Minnesota, St. Louis at Tampa Bay begins our doubleheader action at 12:30 Eastern Time. And then the Dallas Cowboys and the Washington Redskins. The Redskins were beating up on Atlanta the last scores we had. Dallas plays tomorrow night. First down. Draw play. Payton. Payton still going. Has a first down to the 45-yard line of Green Bay. Ken Stills and Mossy Cade, the safeties, put the stop on him there. And now Payton has reached 133 yards on 21 carries. Time winding down in the third quarter.
Houston leads Kansas City in the fourth quarter, and look at Washington, 34-3 over Atlanta. Buffalo losing to Cincinnati 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and 5 seconds left in the quarter here.
4 wide receivers for this final play, and they're not going to get it off. So we come to the end of the third quarter with the score. The Green Bay Packers 10, the Chicago Bears 7. We pause for a word from your local station.
For the presentation. This is your hand. And by Transamerica for insurance and financial services. The power of the pyramid is working for you.
Ryan with Johnny Morris as we begin the fourth quarter here at Lambeau Field. Sky is a little bit darker as we see that the Bears, first game that they haven't led this season after the third quarter. They trail 10-7, but they have the football at the Packer 45-yard line. McMahon deep for Marjoram, incomplete. Again, tight coverage, this time by Tim Lewis. McMahon had the ball right there. It would have been a circus catch for Marjoram, so the credit goes to Lewis, who broke it up.
Yes, Tim Lewis, who had 7 interceptions last year but hasn't gotten any this year, stayed with Marjoram and just timed his leap and knocked the ball away at the last second. He just did a good job on the coverage. Marjoram almost hung onto that ball. Down it goes as the Packers have responded to the Bears' passing charge.
Tim Lewis.
He wanted to know whether this game was going back to Philadelphia. he said, my folks are watching. I told him, no, not Philadelphia.
Well, about 40% of the country watching this one. The unbeaten Chicago Bears, the story of the league this year. McMahon runs out of time in a set. Randy Scott, number 55, drops him at the 40-yard line. Meanwhile, Robert Brown and Keith Van Horn get at it. And then Jay Hilgenberg comes over to toss off a Packer and act as a peacemaker. That's hard to do at the same time. The Pack continues to stay mad and fired up.
Jim McMahon couldn't spot Matsui coming down over the middle. He was open, and the pass rush just kept coming and kept coming. And finally, it was Randy Scott getting past Thayer there and getting through. Okay, here's the main combatants, Keith Van Horn and Robert Brown, as he hit Van Horn, and then Van Horn gets up and he throws Robert Brown to the ground right here, and down goes 93, so that wound up a draw, I guess. Things are getting a little bit ugly.
Humphrey was trying to cool the tempers down. Flynn and Burgess are in the secondary, third and very long from the Bears' 40-yard line. Third and 25. The draw play to Payton. Payton picks up about 10 of that. It's over midfield, but will leave fourth down for Chicago. And the punting unit comes on. Anderson and Stills. And listen to this crowd salute the defense. Two numbers stick out. The Packers had the ball for 10 minutes and 35 seconds in the third quarter. And they have prevented the Bears from doing anything. Jim Zorn, meanwhile, offensively, who went 2 for 10 in the first half, is 6 for 6 in the second half. A high punt by Buford. Fair catch signaled at the 5-yard line by Philip Epps. Well, you might question that. A 45-yard punt. And the Packers will start from inside their 5 when we return. Horace Gregg had been complaining openly about some of the mistakes in judgment made by his punt returners. Philip Epps elected on this one to fair catch the ball inside the 5-yard line.
Well, there's an unwritten rule. You don't fair catch behind the 10-yard line. Sometimes there are mitigating circumstances, but, you know, you got to take your chances when it hits at the 4 that it's going to go into the end zone, I think.
So Jim Zorn, 6 for 6 in the second half. And his first start as a Packer. They'll try and get them out from near their end zone. Ivory in motion. Jesse Clark stacked up at the 5-yard line. Got a yard maybe. McMichael and Dent. 265 and 260 pounds combining to stop Jesse Clark, and an injured Packer down is Jesse Clark. That would be a big loss for the Packers, because this young man is in the heart of their offense, running and pass receiving. He's got the big play that has them in front.
Notice that the Bears do not have William Perry in there. Again, Hartenstein is back in. I don't know as how much he got hurt on that one play, or whether because the Packers had started to run the ball a little bit there in the third quarter, that they might have made a change back to Hartenstein.
Well, while they attend to Jesse Clark, our opportunity to remind you that we have quite a day of college football action next week. Miami, with an exciting victory over Florida State yesterday, ranked number 11, takes on Maryland. Maryland defeated North Carolina 28-10. Or, depending on where you live in this country, Washington, the Huskies against Arizona State. Washington beating up on Stanford yesterday, and Arizona State over California 30-6. It all begins at live action, 3:30 Eastern Time or 12:30 Pacific Time next Saturday on CBS Sports. Clark still being attended to on the field, and when we had an opportunity to chat with this young man 2 or 3 weeks ago, one of the most impressive young people in the National Football League, who is working on a real estate post-grad study, was a successful student at the University of Arkansas, has got his life very much in hand, and right now concerned about playing more football for the Packers, and he's going to develop into one of their top stars.
He said he had several older brothers who were better athletes than him, but never got a chance to play football because of the situation of how they grew up and no place to go to school.
So we're glad to see Jesse Clark up on his feet. chatting with Forrest Gregg, and I'm sure we'll see him back. It is 2nd and 9 from the 5-yard line. Pitch out to Ivory. Ivory cutting back inside, nowhere to go. He's met by Hartenstein. And Hartenstein holds him to about a 1-yard, maybe 2-yard gain. Clark comes right back in for the Pack. Mike Hartenstein lost his starting job for the first time today to William Perry, but getting his action.